The British royal family has always been surrounded by attention, but sometimes a situation grows bigger than anyone expects. What first looked like a private family matter has now turned into something much more serious. At the center of this growing tension are Princess Eugenie and Princess Beatrice, along with Prince William. Reports suggest that a quiet but powerful shift has taken place behind palace walls, and it may have changed relationships within the family forever. For years, Beatrice and Eugenie lived in a unique position. They were born as princesses, daughters of Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson, and granddaughters of Queen Elizabeth II. However, they were not senior working royals. They did not carry the same duties or responsibilities as those directly in line to the throne. Instead, they built careers outside royal life, trying to balance their public identity with private independence. On the surface, everything seemed stable. They attended family events, stayed connected to royal traditions, and lived relatively modern lives. But beneath this calm image, there were signs of tension that slowly grew over time. The royal family is not just about ceremonies and public appearances. It is also about trust, loyalty, and control of information. When that trust is questioned, even slightly, it can lead to serious consequences. According to reports, concerns began to rise when private details started appearing in the media. These were not random rumors. They were specific, detailed, and seemed to come from someone close to the inner circle. This raised an important question: who is sharing this information and why? As these doubts grew, attention slowly turned toward Eugenie and her social connections. What started as quiet suspicion eventually became something much bigger, pulling Beatrice into a situation she never expected to face. The story quickly moved from a private concern to a full royal drama that captured public interest. To understand the current situation, it is important to look at how Beatrice and Eugenie fit into the royal family. Unlike senior royals such as Prince William or King Charles III, they were not funded by public money for official duties. Instead, they worked in regular careers while still carrying royal titles. Princess Beatrice worked in business and technology, while Princess Eugenie spent time in the art world and later focused on charity work. This made them different from other members of the family. They were part of the royal circle, but also lived more independent lives. This position gave them access to both worlds. They could attend private royal gatherings while also moving freely in social and professional spaces outside the palace. For many years, this arrangement worked well. However, it also created challenges. Being connected to the royal family means being trusted with sensitive information. Conversations held in private are expected to remain private. Over time, reports suggested that the sisters remained closely involved in family discussions and events, even if they were not official decision-makers. This meant they had access to important details about the future of the monarchy. At the same time, they stayed loyal to their father, Prince Andrew, even as his reputation faced serious damage. This loyalty was understandable, as they were his daughters, but it also made their position more complicated. The royal family had to manage Andrew's situation carefully, especially after his connection to the Jeffrey Epstein scandal became public. While Beatrice and Eugenie were not responsible for their father's actions, their connection to him added pressure to their role within the family. Over time, this mix of loyalty, access, and independence created a situation where even small issues could grow into major concerns. The real turning point came when stories began appearing in the media that seemed too detailed to be simple guesses. These reports included private conversations, internal disagreements, and even scheduling details involving senior royals like Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales. What made these leaks more concerning was their timing. Many of them appeared shortly after private meetings that only a small number of people attended. This made it clear that the information was likely coming from someone within the inner circle. According to reports, William's team began to quietly investigate the situation. They looked for patterns, trying to understand how information was being shared and who might be responsible. Over time, attention reportedly focused on a social group connected to Princess Eugenie. While this was not confirmed publicly, it was enough to raise serious concerns. Trust is extremely important in the royal family, especially when it comes to those who may one day lead the monarchy. If that trust is broken, even in small ways, it can have lasting effects. The idea that private information was being shared outside the palace created a sense of urgency. It was no longer just about family relationships. It became a question of protecting the future of the institution. Reports suggest that William took these concerns seriously and decided to address them directly. Rather than allowing staff to handle the situation, he reportedly chose to deal with it himself. This decision showed how important the issue had become. It also marked the moment when private suspicion turned into open confrontation, setting the stage for a major shift within the family. The situation cannot be fully understood without considering the role of Prince Andrew. His public fall from grace had a deep impact on the entire family. After his controversial interview on BBC Newsnight in 2019, his royal duties were removed and he stepped away from public life. This created a difficult situation for everyone, especially his daughters. Beatrice and Eugenie were not involved in his actions, but they still felt the effects of the backlash. They remained loyal to their father and reportedly believed he had been treated unfairly. This created emotional tension, as their feelings did not always match the decisions made by the royal institution. While senior members of the family focused on protecting the monarchy's image, the sisters were dealing with personal pain and frustration. This difference in perspective may have influenced how they viewed events inside the family. Some reports suggest that their private conversations reflected this frustration, especially when discussing how the family handled difficult situations. If these feelings were shared outside trusted circles, even unintentionally, they could have contributed to the leaks that caused concern. The connection between Andrew's situation and the alleged information leaks added another layer of complexity. It raised questions about whether personal emotions were affecting decisions and actions. For Prince William, who represents the future of the monarchy, this was not something that could be ignored. The situation was no longer just about past mistakes. It was about ensuring stability and trust moving forward. While much of the attention focused on Princess Eugenie, Princess Beatrice found herself in a very difficult position. Known for being more private and reserved, Beatrice had built a stable life away from public drama. She focused on her career, her husband Edoardo Mapelli-Mazzi, and their family. She was often seen as calm and reliable, someone who avoided controversy. However, when the situation with Eugenie escalated, Beatrice was pulled into the middle. According to reports, she was not directly involved in any leaks, but she may have been aware of more than she openly shared. This created a serious problem for her. On one side was her loyalty to her sister. On the other was her relationship with Prince William and the rest of the royal family. Choosing either side would come with consequences. Reports suggest that this pressure had a strong emotional impact on her. She was described as feeling trapped, unable to fully defend her sister, but also unwilling to betray her. This internal conflict made the situation even more difficult. Over time, it reportedly affected her personal life, causing her to withdraw from social events and appear more stressed than usual. For someone known for staying out of drama, being at the center of such a situation was especially challenging. Her experience shows how complicated family loyalty can become when it conflicts with responsibility and trust. As the situation continued to develop, reports suggest that Prince William decided to confront the issue directly. This was not just about addressing rumors. It was about protecting the future of the monarchy and ensuring that trust within the family remained strong. While the exact details of this confrontation are not publicly confirmed, sources describe it as serious and difficult. For Eugenie, this moment may have felt overwhelming. Being linked to such serious concerns would naturally cause stress and fear about the consequences. For Beatrice, it was a moment that forced her to face a situation she had tried to avoid. The confrontation reportedly created tension between all sides, leading to strained relationships and emotional reactions. Once such issues come into the open, it is very hard to return to how things were before. Even if nothing is proven publicly, the damage to trust can remain. The royal family depends heavily on unity and control of its image. When internal conflicts become known, they can weaken that image. This is why situations like this are handled so carefully. However, once the story reaches the public, it becomes part of a larger narrative that is difficult to control. The reported confrontation marked a turning point, where private concerns became a clear and serious issue that could no longer be ignored. The situation involving Princess Eugenie, Princess Beatrice, and Prince William highlights how complex life inside the royal family can be. It is not just about public appearances and tradition. It is also about trust, loyalty, and difficult choices. While many details remain unconfirmed, the story shows how quickly things can change when private matters become public. For the royal family, maintaining unity is always a priority, but situations like this test those bonds. For Eugenie and Beatrice, the challenge is finding a way to balance their personal relationships with their roles within the family. For Prince William, the focus is on protecting the future of the monarchy and ensuring that it remains stable and respected. As the story continues to develop, one thing is clear. Even the most private issues can have a lasting impact when they involve one of the most watched families in the world. Whether this situation leads to resolution or further tension, it has already shown how fragile trust can be, even within a family as powerful and historic as the British royal family. One of the most important aspects of this story is the role of the media. The British press has always had a complicated relationship with the royal family, covering both their public appearances and private lives. In the case of Beatrice and Eugenie, reports suggest that leaks of private conversations and sensitive information were not random or accidental. Instead, these leaks were carefully timed and often very precise, including information that only a few people would have known. This raised concerns among senior royals that someone close to the sisters might be intentionally sharing details to shape public perception. The problem with such leaks is that they create a cycle of mistrust. Once stories appear in newspapers or online, the royal family must respond, and every response is analyzed by the media. Even when the information is technically true, it can be presented in a way that makes senior royals look unkind or disconnected from family concerns. For instance, some stories suggested that William appeared cold or overly strategic in his approach to Andrew's scandals, while Beatrice and Eugenie were portrayed as more empathetic and understanding. Whether this was intentional or a result of biased reporting is unclear, but it made the situation more sensitive. Media attention can amplify private disagreements, making them appear larger than they really are. For the sisters, this meant that personal feelings of frustration, loyalty, or concern could easily be interpreted as deliberate actions against the crown. Over time, this added pressure made it difficult for anyone involved to remain calm or neutral. The media's involvement in this story shows how external factors can influence internal family dynamics. When journalists report on private family matters, even indirectly, it can create consequences that ripple across the entire institution. What may have started as a minor concern about loyalty eventually became a major public discussion, adding stress to all those involved. It also highlights the challenge for royals who want to maintain privacy while still participating in public life. For Beatrice and Eugenie, navigating this balance is particularly tricky because their connections to both senior royals and wider social circles make it easy for information to leak. For William, the media coverage is a reminder that controlling narratives is crucial to protecting both the family's image and the monarchy's future. Princess Eugenie's role in this story is complex, and it is important to consider her perspective. She is someone who has grown up in a family under immense public scrutiny. From childhood, she witnessed both the privileges and pressures of royal life. While her sister Beatrice has been more private and careful, Eugenie has often been open about her emotions and engaged in a wider social network. Reports suggest that this openness, combined with her loyalty to her father, created a situation where sensitive information may have spread unintentionally. It is also important to remember that Eugenie was only a child when her father's controversies became public, meaning that her understanding of those events was shaped by family loyalty and personal experience rather than public perception. Over time, as she became more involved in charitable work and public duties, she faced the challenge of balancing her private loyalties with her public responsibilities. According to reports, Eugenie experienced significant stress when confronted with concerns from William's team. Being accused, even indirectly, of contributing to leaks or undermining trust would naturally cause panic and emotional strain. The combination of personal loyalty, media pressure, and fear of disappointing senior royals may have created a situation where she felt trapped. She reportedly struggled to find a way to respond without harming her relationships or compromising her integrity. This emotional complexity is a reminder that royals, despite their public status, experience deeply human reactions. Fear, loyalty, and the desire to protect family members all play a role in how decisions are made and how stress is managed. For Eugenie, the confrontation with William's concerns may have been one of the most stressful moments of her life, highlighting how private actions can have unexpectedly large consequences. It also explains why media reports describe her as panicking, not because of wrongdoing, but because of the emotional pressure and conflicting loyalties that the situation created. Her story is a vivid example of the intersection between personal loyalty, family dynamics, and public life in the modern monarchy. While Eugenie was facing public scrutiny and media attention, Beatrice dealt with the situation in a quieter, but no less significant, way. Known for her calm demeanor and preference for privacy, she had long maintained a stable personal and professional life outside of the public eye. She focused on her career, her family, and her role as a supportive older sister. However, the escalation of issues surrounding Eugenie and the alleged leaks reportedly placed Beatrice in an impossible position. She was forced to navigate loyalty to her sister while managing expectations from William and the senior royals. According to reports, this caused her significant emotional strain. Beatrice reportedly withdrew from social events and limited her public appearances, indicating the weight of the situation on her well-being. Being caught in the middle of a royal confrontation is not only stressful emotionally, but can also affect mental health, personal relationships, and public perception. She reportedly felt torn between defending Eugenie and maintaining her own sense of integrity, a position that created internal conflict. Over time, this struggle may have contributed to heightened stress and tension as she balanced the pressures of family loyalty, public expectation, and her own private life. The emotional toll on Beatrice demonstrates that even royals who try to stay out of public drama can be deeply affected when family issues escalate. Her experience highlights the human side of royal life, showing that personal challenges and emotional stress can exist alongside public responsibilities. It also illustrates the complexity of loyalty, as family bonds are tested when actions or information cause concern for others within the institution. Beatrice's struggle is a reminder that royal life, while glamorous on the surface, involves constant negotiation between personal and institutional responsibilities, often under intense scrutiny. When reports of sensitive leaks began circulating, the royal family reportedly recognized the seriousness of the issue immediately. Maintaining privacy and unity is essential for the monarchy, not just for public perception but for the smooth functioning of the institution. Sources suggest that Prince William and his advisors at Kensington Palace carefully assessed the situation before taking action. Their approach appeared measured, strategic, and focused on protecting both the family and the future of the crown. It was not simply about confronting Eugenie or Beatrice, but about understanding the patterns of information flow and who might be responsible. According to reports, William personally intervened to address the matter, rather than delegating the task to staff or other senior aides. This step highlights how critical the situation was. The palace reportedly considered the leaks not only a potential threat to trust within the family, but also a risk to public confidence in the monarchy. If private disagreements became public, it could fuel narratives suggesting division, favoritism, or instability within the royal institution. Additionally, the timing of the leaks reportedly made the palace concerned that they were being used strategically to reshape public opinion about Andrew's past scandals, potentially portraying him as a victim while casting William as overly strict or cold. The palace's response was therefore multi-layered. It involved confronting potential sources of leaks, reaffirming trust within the senior circle, and carefully managing what could be shared publicly. Every step was reportedly taken with caution, recognizing the delicate balance between private family loyalty and the broader institutional reputation. This strategic response demonstrates that royal life involves constant awareness of how private actions can influence public perception and, ultimately, the stability of the monarchy. It also emphasizes the importance of patience and timing. Sources suggest that William waited to gather sufficient information before acting, ensuring that any confrontation would be informed and effective. This measured approach is characteristic of senior royals who understand the high stakes involved. The palace reportedly prioritized maintaining calm, preventing escalation, and protecting relationships, even while addressing potentially damaging situations. In many ways, the royal response to this internal challenge illustrates the tension between human emotions and institutional responsibility, a dynamic that plays out repeatedly in royal history.